Okay, good morning everyone. Well, as a tutorial, we started working on the tutorial. So today is the topic is about model, data model, the effect, and also how to interface or communicate with the web service. So as usual, if you already start doing the tutorial, that is good, excellent. But if you just started now, feel free to go through the tutorial with me. So, but before that, I need to clarify several things that I mentioned during the class session this Tuesday. First is about the package system in Flutter and also Dart. Previously, I mentioned about versioning, right? So, in the pub spec, you can define the software package that you want to include in your project. For example, if you need HTTP, then you mention the name of the package and followed by the version of the package. What I want to clarify is regarding the version range. Okay, so the head symbol, or they name it as caret symbol, means that Flutter and Dart will install the package as long the major version does not change. So, for example, if your package version is 123, means what package 2 will be installed with version 123 or larger, as long the major that's still fixed to version 1. What I mean by major version is the most significant version at the left side of the versioning scheme. So the versioning scheme usually follow this pattern: major, minor, and patch. So if you use caret symbol, it will fix it will fix the major version. That is, the major version will not increment, or the package system will not look for the newer package that has newer major version. So it will try to install the package as long the major version is still fixed to the current major version, and the minor and patch will try with the latest version. So if there is a package for full with version 1.5, then Flutter will install that version instead. But that only applies for a new project. So initially, when you create a new Flutter project, you only provided with a single pubspec YAML file. Then, once you open the project with editor or IDE or Yeah, and install the packages using Flutter pubget. The Flutter and the toolchain will generate pubspec.log. So you see, in parallel with the pubspec YAML, there is another file called the pubspec.log. And this file actually will contain the list of installed dependencies in your project that already been installed in your project. So even though, let's try to look for it, HTTP. Let's see, there's a chat message. Yeah, okay. You can attend the lab remotely. Let's see, where's the HTTP? So pubspec YAML will contain the fixed version of the install package. So if you already installed your HTTP package, and during that time, the latest HTTP package is 0.13.5, then Flutter will install that package and then generate the pubspec log file. And suppose that in the future, like 1 year after you conducted this tutorial, you reconstruct the project, like you git clone your project from your GitHub to your PC, and then you load it into editor, then invoke Flutter pubget, then Flutter will see for any existing log file. If there is a log file existing, then Flutter will install the exact packages as mentioned in the log file. So even though maybe in the future the latest HTTP version is 0.15, Flutter will still install the HTTP package with version 0.13.5 instead, because it's already defined in the log file. So yeah, that's a bit clarification from what I told you in the Tuesday session. So due to that, it is okay to use version range in your Flutter project, in the pubspec file. So you can use caret symbol to ensure the packages. When you install the packages, it will download the latest one during the initial step of your project. But if you're in the future, if there is a newer version, then the Flutter project will install that is defined in your log file instead. But yeah, if you want to upgrade the dependencies, you can also do that by using, let me check it's called the command Flutter, but I think there's one feature that lets you to upgrade. Yeah, you can also upgrade your package by using Flutter upgrade or assisted by your IDE. And yeah, that wraps up about the package system. And yeah, let's begin with the actual tutorial, that is defining data model. Right. So in this tutorial, you will create a sort of application that reads data from web service or web API and then display it in your app. But before going to that actual part of implementing the functionality, let's see how to create a data model. What I mean by data model is the representation of data that will be displayed in a page of your app. So yeah, you can use state, But if you are using state, you can also make a separate data structure to contain all of the information that will be stored as a state in your app. So, for example, the tutorial mentioned that you need to create a vehicle class that will represent the information that describes an object of vehicle in the app. It's similar to Java or Kotlin, where you have to create a class and then define the attributes. But yeah, the constructor obviously is a bit different, not a bit different, it's quite different from Java. So you have to, once you have created all of the attributes, don't forget to create a constructor. And then followed by two methods that perform transformation from JSON to vehicle object and vice versa. And it utilizes the convert package included in the standard library, so you can read a given map or base that converted from JSON into the object that you want to create. And also the vice versa, you can also create a map of variables and the value that will be contained in an instance of map that can be serialized to JSON. So yeah, it's pretty simple. The part where you can create the vehicle class. So yeah, you create the class and then define the attributes and then create the methods to create the vehicle object from the given JSON that already been converted into an instance of map, and also the vice versa, the other way around, that will generate the JSON, the map instance from all of the attributes in the vehicle object into the map instance. And to provide the user of your class with convenience, you can also declare the function that is defined in the scope of the Dart module, so it can be imported from different package. So you can see there is the declaration that there's a function called vehicle from JSON with argument a single string that can be invoked from whatever that import this class, and the functionality is to decode the string from HTTP response and transform the result of the decoding process to become an instance of vehicle. Still pretty simple. And yeah, if you are in a hurry, you can like copy paste the code, but it is not as simple as that. There will be some issues if you just copy paste the code. So please cross check with your editor or IDE, because your editor or IDE will alert you with several issues if you just copy and paste the code. So yeah, if you do that, yeah, make sure you also address the issues raised by your IDE and also your editor. This one is interesting. Refactoring. Currently, your tutorial is designed in this structure, so you will have a separate folder to contain all of the model's classes, and then separate folder to contain the pages, and maybe you will also create another folder to contain other tightly related Dart modules in that same folder.
it works, but again, sometimes it depends on how you are going to architect your application. This way, you can follow this approach. So for each component of your app, you will have its separate folders. But there's also a different approach that I tend to favor with. That is, I separate the packages based on the feature name. And then in the feature, I can define nested packages for each components for implementing that feature. So for example, I can create feature a screen.dart here, and then also feature a model.dart here, and so on. So yeah, there are several approaches in architecting your app. You can follow the pattern that already taught by your TAs through this instruction document, or you can come up with your own way to architect your app. Maybe if organizing your code based on features makes more sense to you, then you can also follow that approach. But in short, if you just start beginning to learn about Flutter, I suggest to follow the structure that already taught by your TA. But if you want to, if you have different opinion, sometimes programmers are highly opinionated. They have their own way to do something. You can, follow your way of doing things, as long the specification still matches what is being required from this evaluation from the lab and also the upcoming assignment. All right. Any questions so far regarding the tutorial? How far you have completed the tutorial? Have you completed the custom models part? Anyone? Not yet? Or all of you already finished the tutorial actually? But yeah, if there are any questions, just feel free to ask, and I will try to help you. And also the TA will also be available later on. Okay, so custom models. Yeah, this is I already demonstrated this in the class session in previous Tuesday. You can generate the data model class by using this app called QuickType. Given a JSON response, for example, from this URL, you can copy the data and then pass it to the QuickType app in order to generate the data model class. But while we are waiting about that, this is also interesting. I mean, the model itself. So previously, when you learn about data model in the first part, the first half of the semester, you know that data model in Django is used to represent the data that you want to store in the app, but also it contains several operations that you can use to perform data-related operations. For example, to query the data from the database or store the data into the database. So your model is quite heavy, meaning that it has several capabilities, not only for representing the data, but also to perform data-related operations with the data storage. But in Flutter, in the example provided by the TA here, the model is more like a data container. So it only stores data. It doesn't contain any operations for manipulating or storing the data into a certain data storage. So the internal functionality, it is much leaner than the model that you learn in Django. But the terms itself, the model is overloaded. So in Django, you know there's a model to represent data, but in Flutter, you also see there is another. The model term is also used to represent the data. The difference is just the amount of responsibilities contained in each instance of model, both in Django and Flutter. Django's model also perform data-related operations, but in Flutter, it simply only for representing the data. Okay, so yeah, we already have the JSON, and let's try to convert the Dart. Yeah, the Dart code is as follow. You can simply copy and paste it to your IDE or text editor. And I already done that. So yeah. After that, let's see what's the next instruction after creating the the next instruction is to add HTTP dependencies. So yeah, I already mentioned this before. So you can add external package using Flutter command or by modifying the pubspec YAML file from your editor or IDE. And if you plan to deploy or build your app into Android, you also need to modify the manifest file here. Because in Android, an app needs to request for specific permission for a feature that is available in the device that runs the app. So if your app will need to perform I/O operations through the internet, like sending a HTTP request or receiving HTTP response, you need to tell Android that your app will need to access the internet. And to do that, you need to request the permission through this manifest file. It's similar to another project that I worked before. Let me see if I already found the. There is color scheme. So in the Android directory, SRC, well, I can just open the editor and then look for the manifest file. Yep. Yeah, in my previous project using different framework, since the app required to fetch data from an API, obviously the app require internet access. So the manifest is modified to include the permission to access internet. And also several permissions that is required by the framework that I use when develop this app. But in terms of modifying the permissions in Android's manifest, you can also remove certain permissions if you want to. So for example, since the app that I previously worked on doesn't need to read the phone state, like to determine whether the phone is turned on or off, then I can explicitly request to Android to remove the permission that is granted by default. So in this example, I explicitly requested Android to remove the permission to read the phone state and also to read external storage, i.e. to read data in SD card. So yeah, in short, if your app will require certain functionality from the platform where the app will be deployed, please check the platform whether you need to request for certain permissions to access certain functionality provided by the platform. For example, in Android, you have to ask for permission to access certain functionality in the Android device via the Android manifest file. Okay, now there is a code example to do web service call or to send a HTTP request in order to obtain HTTP response. You can follow through the code, but yeah, some parts are interesting in the code, so I'm going to explain it. For example, what is this again? PBP page. So in Dart, I believe since most of you already learned about Kotlin as well in your previous programming course, you can declare a variable without mentioning its data type. So in case of Flutter, you can declare this variable URL and then assign it to a value or an object that is obtained from a function call, for example. What Flutter does is actually performing what it's called as that type inference. So it tries to infer or deduct the actual data type that will be stored into the variable. And in this example, Flutter knows that from URI.parse, it will return a data in form of object with type of URI, and not with type of URI. That's right. So based on that information, from inferring through the static information of the function, such as the method, the function signature, Dart knows the URL variable here will contain an instance of URI. So for us, the programmer that use Flutter and Dart, we can save several keystrokes in order to declare this variable. For example, if you want to declare a string, usually in plain or object-oriented language, you need to declare the data type and then the content. But in Flutter, you can not abandon, but like omit the data type and just replace it with var keyword. And Flutter and also Dart will try to infer the actual data type, while still maintaining the strong typing mechanism provided by Dart language. So yeah, feel free to make your code looks more shorter by using var, but sometimes habit realistic So in my example, I still declare variables in Java and also in there by mentioning the data type because it's already a habit. Oh, one more thing. In case of instance variables in your class, I believe you cannot use type inference. So you need to explicitly mention the data type that will be contained in that instance variable. So in that case, you still need to explicitly declare the data type. But in the body of a function or method, feel free to use var keyword and let's Dart to infer the actual data type. So yeah, that was about the type inference in Dart. As for the HTTP request mechanism, it is an async method, so Dart will know this method will be done in asynchronous manner, will be executed in asynchronous manner, and then the process, I mean the process that involves sending HTTP request to a URL and also parsing the response into the JSON will be done asynchronously. Or later on in advanced programming course, you will learn a mechanism called multi-threading that lets you to create multiple program execution that may run nearly at the same time. The asynchronous programming, the idea behind asynchronous programming is similar to that idea used for multi-threading. But yeah, in asynchronous, we don't really care about the threads because we just simply represent the operation as asynchronous operations. How it is handled behind the door, behind Dart's runtime, we left it like a black box. So we trust Dart to handle it, and we can focus more implementing the feature in a way that we still code it like using imperative language. So you have async, and then you have this get request that is done in asynchronous manner, and then there is this keyword await that will await for the get request to finish, and while waiting, Dart's runtime will execute any other code that already been queued waiting to be executed by Dart's runtime at that time. And eventually this request will done and the result contained into the response variable. Then it performs JSON decode to parse the response body containing a string of JSON and then convert it into a JSON object. In this case, well, it is converted into a dynamic type. We don't really know the actual type, but usually it's a map of keys and values, right? So the data here will be a map usually. Then that's not really a map. I'm sorry. So yeah, since it's dynamic, we don't really know the actual type. But yeah, based on this example, the data will contain a collection, a list maybe, and for each item in that data, that item presumably is a string, yeah. That string of data can be converted from JSON string into an object of to-do object or the data model object in your app. And then it is inserted into the list of data models. After that, it simply returns the list already containing the parse objects from JSON. And the next part is simply making the widget, a new page to display those data. And turns out I haven't finished that part yet, so let's follow through. So in the to-do page, I need to wait a minute. Just turn off the notification. I need to return a scaffold. The pattern is similar to other pages in the tutorial. Yep. And in the scaffold, what I need are the tab bar. Is it? Let me check the example. Tab bar contain the title. Okay. The title is top. Let's see. The title is stored in the title variable in the page. So let's create it. And the argument to create this widget. Yes. And for those who are following, the code that I displayed here is a bit different from the TAs. For example, the title here is not hard-coded. So the previous tutorial extracted the title of each screen into a variable that is contained in the state or the page of that screen. But what I'm doing here is I still keep the variable there. The value of that variable will be passed when the route to that page is declared in the navigation. So yeah, it's a bit different. So let's continue. Wait. We have this tab bar, and then what else do I need? The drawer, the navigation drawer. This can be copy pasted. Wait. The drawer is a drawer. Content. Yeah. The child of column. There we go. Boom. My homepage is not available because this part is not that simple. This needs to be the title of the actual homepage. What is the title? Flutter demo. Okay. Flutter demo. And then the title for the to-do page simply obtain it from the widget Okay. Wait, that's more. What else? So drawer has finished. Then what else do I need to implement? Let me check the document again. Clickable menu dan the body. Okay. Is it still contained within the column? Oh, no. Column is in the drawer. Oh, yeah. And the body in the drawer. No. In the scaffold is a future builder. So this instance of future builder is, let's see, so it will display the widget based on, there's some conditional happening here. So it has condition that determines how the widget will be rendered or will be displayed. So it accepts a future object, the asynchronous operation, and then the builder will display the widget based on the status of that future operation or the asynchronous operation. So if it's still ongoing, then it will display the indicator, for example. And if the asynchronous operation has finished or resolved to a data, then the builder will display differently. It's like when you open your app, for example, Twitter in your mobile app. Initially, it will display the loading circle, loading animation, and then when it's done, the loading animation will be replaced with the list of items. It's similar to that. I mean, the feature builder, it will lets you to implement that kind of rendering mechanism in your mobile app. So let's see, we have feature builder. What else do I need? Feature. And this feature is referring to the method in the class. And then it also require a builder. Yeah. Builder will, I see. So it requires a snapshot. So if snapshot is okay. If snapshot still doesn't contain any data, then display loading animation, for example. And in this case, well, the tutorial use data variable in the snapshot objects reference. But the idea should be similar. Let's see, as data is a Boolean, right? So yeah, it should be similar. Return center, so we will wrap the widget that we want to display in the center layouting widget. And in the widget, we pass a child that is a circular progress indicator. Oh, I see. That's the difference. Okay. So if the snapshot data is null, meaning it's still a null reference in the data variable inside the snapshot, then the data hasn't been received yet or is still in transit. Okay, I stand corrected. If snapshot data is null, then display the loading animation. However, if it's already containing a data, check again. If the response is actually empty, meaning that the snapshot data is empty. If snapshot.has data return column, so we are going to put the following widgets as columns, so it will be structured from top to bottom in the display. Children column is comes something. Oh, array of widgets, right? Widget. So initially it is a text that say your to-do list is empty with set face. And then this file. Color, right. Okay, a bit of things regarding color. So regarding color, Flutter has a bit, well, not a bit, but yeah, let's just say in order to define color, there are several approaches to do this. First, we can use let's see, red. Okay, to represent a color in that, we can use either the color definition, the type definition of color from the Dart UI package that is included in Dart standard library, or use the color type definition from a platform specific package in Flutter's standard library. So if I use Dart UI package to represent the color, the color needs to be represented manually. So let's say if you want to define a red color, you need to define the value of each color channel. So color is represented as ARGB. A stands for alpha transparency. And then RGB, as you might have suspected, is red, green, and blue. Because by using this 3+1 information, computer can represent a pixel in your display based on the combination of value of red, green, blue, and its transparency level. It's similar to what you have learned in HTML before. You have CSS, and in CSS, if you want to have red color, then you need to define it either F00 or FF0000, because in CSS, the color is represented using hexadecimal values, right? And the maximum value for each of them is, how many bytes is this? Each channel is represented as 2 bytes, right? Yeah, I'm sorry. I need to review my PSD or digital systems course again. But yeah, in short, if you want to represent red in CSS, you can use F00 or FF0000. Similarly, in Flutter, we have red, green, blue color channel and also the alpha transparency. So if we want to represent red, a plain red, striking red, so we need to put maximum value to the red channel and then left the other 2 channels to empty or 0. So we have a color that is strikingly very red without any green or blue color involved in the color. As for the alpha transparency, it depends. Usually we use FF. FF means the color will be a solid color without any what is called transformation that makes the color looks transparent in the screen, that lets the user to view whatever elements behind the widget that is using the color. But as you decrease the amount of alpha transparency, the color will gradually become more transparent. So if the alpha transparency is maximum, then it will be completely block the element with the given color. However, if you decrease the alpha transparency, let's say you use 5.5, then the color will be looks more transparent, even though you apply for a strikingly red color. But since the transparency is lower, then the color becomes transparent. So if your element is stacked on top another element, then the element at the bottom will be quite visible. And let's go back to the not yet. So that's how color is represented in Dart. However, if you are using a platform-specific package like Dart, Flutter, color red equal to colors.red. Well, let's say you are using material package included in Flutter. Material already provided you with predefined colors that you can reuse. So if you want to use red color in your app, then you can use the provided colors in material package. So this is the red color defined in material package. And the actual value of that red color is a bit different. So the value is 244, 77, 67, and 54 in terms of the value for each RGB channel. So the red color is not strikingly red like I showed to you before. So this is the red color according to the design style defined by Google in the material design scheme. So this is the red color according to Google. Maybe I haven't done this, so let's see if it's also similar. Does Cupertino, that is the design standard from Apple, contain similar constants regarding colors? Oh, there is. But can we include that? I don't know. Color red, colors. Apparently nope. So yeah. Although Cupertino dynamic color, so they have that their own green, for example, they have their own system green color, and then system pink color according to Cupertino, the design system used by Apple. But material, that is the one used by Google. Let's see. In the colors, where is it? Red. Where is red? Yeah, this is the white color according to material design, and also similarly color red. They have these variations of red color. You can see from the red color that is very red until gradually become more transparent, and they only modify the value of the green and blue channels of that red color. They still keep the alpha transparency to maximum. Yeah, but alpha transparency only means does your color will make the element transparent, so the another element behind that particular element can be visible or not. Right, enough detour regarding color. So let's go back to this style. Yeah, the color in the document is manually defined. So based from the definition, it's 59A5D8. I don't know what color is that, but yeah, let's try it. Textile. And then wait. Color, and the value is what? FF 59A5D8. Oh, it's light blue. Okay. What's missing? Expected to find a square bracket. And where should I put that square bracket again? Here? No. Here? So it's light blue. So yeah, you can stick with the example given from the document, or you can define your own. So if I use the existing color from the material design system, can use blue gray or any other blue, light blue. And apparently colors colors is already an object of colors, so yeah, just refer it directly. Anything else? The font size equal to 420. And then size of the box with height 78. Anything else? Yeah, that's only for displaying the widget when the data is empty. Else, so when there is an actual data, return list view builder. Okay, I'm getting similar vibe with React Native here. So semicolon, and then item count equal to like the length of the data. Oh, okay. Let's, so we have item builder, and the item builder is a function. Okay. Index and container. Oh no, semicolon. Okay. What item builder does is it will construct a widget for each item from the given data. So let's say from the received JSON, the JSON contains 5 JSON objects. Then when it is parsed into Darts objects, Flutter will construct the widget, 5 widgets for each data from that received JSON. And this function, yeah, will construct the widget. So you can visualize it like you have a function that is applied to every item in the collection in order to produce a widget that will be appended into the structure of the container widget. And then, yeah, from the container, pirate builder, what? Child. Okay, for now, let's keep it null. Container. Okay, let's begin. So in the container, define the margin. The margin is const edge equals symmetric, horizontal and vertical 16 and 12. Horizontal 16, vertical 20 and 12. What else? Padding. Yeah. Constant of each insets. Also for each side, give it 20 pixels. 20, I don't know, is it pixel or what? The argument receive what kind of data? Value, simply value, but whether is it pixel or not, it is not really clear. Just view it like it will give padding to each side with 20 units. So regardless the unit is, Flutter will assign padding to each side with size of 20 units. Not last, we still have the decoration. Box decoration. Yeah, color is set to colors.white, and then border radius is set to circular, and it's 1.0. Box shadow is a list. Okay. What is it for? Box shadow something, and the content is obviously the color is black. And what else? The blur radius is 2.0. It's quite a lot, isn't it? So after decoration, adds child. Wow. And the child is a column wrapper. And inside that column, in axis and cross axis, in axis alignment, what is it, center or start? Start. Cross axis alignment, start. Then the children is what? Array of widgets, right? And in that array of widgets, provide text. The text contain snapshot data index title. So it queries the object contained in the data, in the array of data, and then get the title from that object. Okay. So snapshot data Using string interpolation, right? Snapshot the data index obtained from the function, and then title. Each title apply the style. The style is set the font size to 18, and what else? Font weight to 4. And then size of box equal to height 10. And another text that fits the currently applied item by the function. Get the status of its completion. Wow, that's a lot. So assuming I have handled everything. And there are several warnings from the IDE. So for example, well, not really a warning, but rather a reminder. So for example, if you have Dart and Flutter has their style guide, and well, you can code Dart and Flutter pretty much without following the style, the recommended style. But yeah, if you plan to make the code can be understandable by the community, by other Dart programmer, then you should follow the style guide that accepted by the majority in the industry. So yeah, we can apply the recommendation from the IDE. So it says add const modifier, then let's do that. What else? This one, const modifier again. Const modifier again. Const again. So, and what? Unnecessary string interpolation, right? It is unnecessary. That's right. Because the data itself is already in string, so you don't have to interpolate the string into a string. In contrast, the next information that display the completion status do require string interpolation. So you obtain the Boolean value and then try to interpolate it or interpret it into a string. That explains why Dart, Linter, the tools that checks for any issues with the code style, didn't report any issue with this particular line, because it does make sense to interpolate a Boolean value into a string. But for string, since it's already a string, why bother to interpolate it into a string? Okay, then let's tidy up the code for a bit. one of the feature in IDE is it can auto format your code. So please try to use that, especially if you plan to work in a team. Having a consistent code style will reduce the possibility of you arguing minor issues regarding how to write code, because you already trust all of you following the style defined by Flutter. Although you can enforce a certain style, but for now, let's just follow the standard from Flutter. So by doing that, you can put more of your time arguing and implementing actual functionality of your app instead of arguing how many spaces that you want to use for an indentation. And let's try it. I haven't tried this before, so how do I run the project? Exit presentation, and then select Chrome, run the main, and then let's see what will happen. Oh, a new version of Flutter is available. That's cool. Where is the Google Chrome? Still waiting for connection. It has Chromium, right? Chromium. Chrome. Let me check. It's there, right? Where is my Google Chrome? Oh well, let's just deploy it to Microsoft Edge. Edge deploy. Right. Yeah, I forgot. Have I implemented the menu to the to-do page? Okay. There is. How come it doesn't pop up with anything? Let me check. Flutter Doctor. Antivirus scan. It's idle, but the CPU usage quite high from some. Okay, finally. No thanks. No thanks. Okay, Flutter demo. It should work. to do. Yeah, it's spinning. Ah, cool. It displays some data here. Okay, I think that wraps up the tutorial. I'm going to patrol to the audience in the room to see if there are any issues. For those who are participating remotely, yeah, that ends the walkthrough session of the tutorial. I believe there is one more thing to do. Yeah, if you have finished the tutorial, there is a challenge from the TA here. So you can refactor the fetch to do method to a separate file. So currently the fetch to do is it's in the to-do page, right? This one, fetch to do. The challenge is you need to refactor by moving this function body to a separate Dart module and then include it into this page. So you move it to a different Dart file and import that new Dart file into the scope of this page representation in the Dart in the corresponding Dart file. And yeah, as simple as that. It's supposed to be very simple. Just move the function to different Dart file, import it into the Dart file containing this to-do page representation. And then, yeah, see if your app still working or not. The idea behind refactoring is you are going to improve the design of your code. The one that I have to highlight is the code, the design of the code, not the app. The app's design is dictated or determined by, well, your design guideline and also how you implement those widgets. But the design of the code is a different thing. It's something that perceived by the programmer, not by the user of your app. And the issue with this fetch to do, well, you will learn more why we need to refactor in different course, that is the advanced programming course. But to put it in a summary, it is related to the responsibility you assign to every code in your code. For example, you create when you create a class that representing a page, your intention is to define a representation of a page that will be displayed to user in form of code, right? So the logical things you do is you define what are the widgets that will be contained in that page. That's the logical things, and also the common sense that you will do when you create a class that representing a to-do page or a page in general. However, this operation that will fetch data doesn't quite fit into the main purpose of a page. So it adds the responsibility needs to be handled by this page, by the class that representing the page. So in order to make the page more focused on handling displaying user interface widgets, this function can be put into separate module in a separate Dart file. So that's the idea of refactoring. And also what needs to be highlighted as well is refactoring while it also improves the design of your code, it has to still maintain the correctness of your code. So make sure after you refactor or change the code, the functionality is still correct before and after being refactored. That's the most important thing. You can do that by making tests, obviously. But yeah, in the syllabus, I think there are no mention about tests in Flutter, so you need to learn it on your own. But conceptually, it's similar to testing when you test your app in Django. So let me give you one example. In Flutter, your test code will need to be put in a Dart file in a main function, and then the test depends on what kind of not the kind, but the level of testing that you want to perform. In this example, you are this test will perform functional tests. Not really a functional test actually. Still in unit tests or somewhere in between of unit and integration tests. So you have this component, the widget, and you try to verify if the widget actually contains certain text that you expected. So for that problem, to verify the refactoring, you can do similar thing that try to verify, yeah, at least the asynchronous operation is invoked and return some data. You can try to verify that by writing a test that simulates that scenario. And yeah, it's all for today. I'm going to move around. I'm going to just left the audio on. Maybe direct the camera to the audience. So I'm going to check attendance first, and let me check the participants from the Zoom. So choose this key in the Zoom.
Yeah, you can find my name. And sorry. Apa? The latest radio version of 7. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, I replay. I replay the electric training. Yeah, I think I'm So that ends the tutorial. If you still want to work on the tutorial or do anything else in this lab, you can do that until 1 p.m. because at 1 p.m. there will be another class in this lab session. So thank you everyone, and yeah, have a good day.